my worst enemy. The flesh that's covering me brings me down to my knees.
Welcome to Sermons in the Park, a ministry exploring biblical truth from the Word of God, focusing on the truths that help us in our daily walk with Christ in every aspect of our lives. Now, here is your Reverend Jamie McCaskill.
Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to an all-new episode of Sermons in the Park. As always, I am your Reverend Jamie McCaskill. This is another one of those surprise episodes that even I didn't think I would be doing, but here we are. If you've known me for a while, I've talked in the past about how most people who follow me probably originally started following me because they knew me in the paranormal field, because I was in the paranormal field, well, I guess you would call it paranormal studies, since I was about 16 years old. And what I found since I got into ministry, since God called me to the ministry, is that so many people, they were confused. And then you'll either get that, or you'll get the ones who try to hit me with another one of those gotchas when they try to bring up alien life, or even sightings of what they claim are UFOs. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to try to answer a question of, are there such things as aliens or UFOs? Okay? And to start off with, I want to define what I will be talking about here when I mention aliens and UFOs, because, you know, you could say aliens are people coming across the border, right? And, you know, and then, of course, UFOs. But what we're going to be talking about are aliens, and by that I mean beings from another planet. You know, beings that are people-like. You know, they live on some other planet besides Earth, okay? And the same when we talk about UFOs here. We're going to be talking about vehicles that are driven or flown, or whatever you want to call it, by these beings from other planets. Right? Because, let's face it, that acronym, UFO, what's it stand for? It stands for an unidentified flying object. And it's always made me laugh, because when you say unidentified flying objects exist, well, that's self-evident, isn't it? That's like going, oh, there are unsolved mysteries, right? But since people associate UFOs with aliens, that's how we're going to use it today. Vehicles that are used by alien beings. Okay, now, the subject of today's question, you know, you can approach it one of two ways. The first way is a simple one, and that is, does the Bible describe aliens, or does it deny that they exist? And the second way you can approach it is, does science indicate the presence or lack thereof of aliens? Now, this is one that, honestly, I have a friend, and it started an argument between me and him once, because he came at me and told me that if they ever proved aliens exist, that would prove the Bible is not true. But you see, the Bible does not say aliens exist. That's the truth. But it also does not say they do not exist, does it? And as far as science goes, there's nothing in science that tells us aliens exist. In fact, as far as science is concerned, what they say is that it's unlikely, but it's not impossible. Right? So, as I said, in the Bible, you will find nothing about life outside of our planet, let alone outside of our solar system. And the reason for that is because the Bible is only concerned with God's creation of this planet, our planet. But again, it also says nothing about him creating life on other planets. So, in theory, it's very possible God created life on other planets, other intelligent beings, other image bearers, right? But again, there is no reference for either side of that. There are those who say the very fact that the Bible is silent on that matter proves that aliens do not exist. But others, like myself, say that the Bible is often quiet on topics that are not important for our relationship with God. And I'll show you a Bible verse that says so. John chapter 21, verse 25. It says, "And there are also many other things which Jesus did, the which, if they should be written, every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain a book that should be written." Now, I think that the only conclusion that Bible scholars can come to that is close to being a universal conclusion is this: contact between humanity and intelligent alien life is very unlikely. And by that I mean the question of aliens is just not relevant to us. So as far as science is concerned, there's this concept of what they call the Fermi paradox. It's very confusing for me to go into, so if I sound like I'm rambling or whatever, I'm honestly going to try to explain it to you. The Fermi paradox, it refers to a very self-contradiction between the secular assumption about life in the universe. You have naturalistic scientists that assume that the universe is very, very, very large and also very, very, very old. They believe that it's capable of generating life from matter that is not alive through natural processes. Okay? That would mean that life should exist in a lot of different places. So what that would mean is that with all the life out there, we should have already encountered it. But you see, as far as we know, and this is looking at it from a scientific point of view, not people saying something, and we'll get into that later, humans have never encountered life of any kind, intelligent or not, from outer space. Scientists have given us a lot of solutions as to what this means, right? They believe that maybe alien life is just too different. And by that I mean we don't recognize it. And the truth is, we know from our own experiences here on Earth that a lot of intelligent civilizations will eventually self-destruct. Or if you prefer the phrase going extinct, right? Or another belief is that maybe they are too far apart, and there's not enough time for us to communicate with them. Some of these scientists have said that life, even though it is common, organisms that that these organisms are so advanced, or I should say organisms that are advanced enough to communicate off planet, that basically it's impossible for them to exist, or it's impossible for them to communicate with us. As I said, it gets very confusing. The one that I've heard the most often, though, is that they're hiding deliberately. They're deliberately hiding from us. And in a way that kind of makes sense, right? And then there's the other possibility. And this is coming from scientists, that maybe humanity is unique for whatever natural reason. right? Because they can't bring God into the equation. So I go through a lot of that scientific mumbo jumbo just to say this. According to science, it's possible for life to exist on other planets. But as far as extraterrestrial life existing, or if we will ever know for sure, all you can do is either assume or have an opinion on that matter, right? In fact, if you know that, I don't know if you know this or not, there are only 150 planets that are confirmed outside of our solar system that have been published, that there have been published studies on. I found these. But let's say that list balloons out and it's 5,000 of them, okay? Only about 60 of them are vaguely capable of life. That's why you'll always hear them pop up and go, it's so close to ours, right? And as for finding life on our closest neighbors, meaning, alien life on planets in our solar system, say Martians, right? Those are guaranteed not to exist. And that's using our own limited space exploration. They've ruled that out. Scientists have looked at moons like, say, Europa and Titan, and they seem to find hope of some kind of a simple life being on those moons. But as far as sending out a probe to those moons to look into it, well, that's in the distant future. So we know that contact from aliens would have to come from a very, very far away. And it's entirely possible that these aliens would be so different from us that we would not even notice them. And as far as I have seen, like talking to people, interviewing people, because I've been in the paranormal field for so long, that people that claim that they have encountered aliens, you should really look at those people with skepticism, okay? Because think about it. Let's say they're telling the truth. They're not mentally have some kind of mental problem or something like that. Let's say they're telling you the truth. Is it entirely possible that they encountered, say, a demon or some kind of an evil spirit that confused them? It's entirely possible, isn't it? And as for UFO sightings, well, let's face it. I know this because, in a way, I'm one of them. Our species is obsessed with things like conspiracy theories. We're all willing to leave room for strange things to happen here on Earth. In fact, one of my favorite paranormal YouTubers that I follow, he always signs off his show with, "We live in a world that is so seriously strange." But let's say proof of alien life comes to light one day. We're able to prove aliens exist. That does not threaten the truth of the Bible. Now, would it create a question? And by that I mean a difficult question. Sure, I'm not going to argue that point. But it would not mean that the Bible is false or that God does not exist. Sure, there might be some interpretations that would be disrupted. Maybe some secondary doctrines as well. Sure, I'm going to give you that. But when you honestly think about it, it also reinforces the idea that compared to God, we human beings know very, very little. That's my thought on the matter. I would love to hear yours. If you're on YouTube or you're on the podcast, comment below. Let me know what you think. I know this one's a little bit different than what we usually do here, but it's one that I felt I needed to do, because as I said, people come to me with paranormal questions all the time, and this is one that, this one hasn't come to me yet, but it did cause an argument between that friend of mine, me and that friend a long time ago, when I got into ministry, and I just thought I would bring that one to light. So thank you all. I love you. God bless you, and I'll see you soon.
You have been listening to Sermons in the Park with Reverend Jamie McCaskill. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. And as always, thank you for listening.
There's joy for the morning, sinner be still. Earth has no sorrow, heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow, heaven can't heal. So lay